Welcome to Looking Backward, where we unveil the hidden journeys behind entrepreneurial success. Dive into the stories of resilience, failure, and serendipity to see how looking back can illuminate the path forward. I'm Chad, founder of Better Legal, which has grown to 2.5 million in annual revenue since inception in 2016, but I've been failing at startups since 2004. Each misstep teaching me valuable lessons. Let's dive into the real stories that shape success. Welcome to another You and Me episode, which is just this is a 4 kind of episode mini series that is about the last interviews that I did, the 8 interviews I did in a row. And we're going to talk about something specific and how we're basically going to have a topic, and today's is going to be distribution. And we're going to talk about how each entrepreneur handled that topic in their businesses. So what is distribution? Distribution is marketing. And it's something that first-time founders kind of don't really think about. You hear the stories of like Amazon launched and it was successful immediately. You hear Facebook was, hot with every college student in Harvard, and then it just went to college and just grew like wildfire. Twitter exploded overnight. Those are the stories that you hear about. Those are the stories that make for good cover stories on magazines or the nightly news. That is not how an average normal business is started. It's not just immediate success. There are some, and I'll talk about like Nisha of Chickadee and how she was just successful immediately, profitable immediately, no investors. But that's few and far between. Usually what happens is, everybody expects a startup to be up and to the right. And investors, like, they just want to see up and to the right, hockey stick growth, no issue. It's just not reality. If you're going to invest in a startup, here's some stats. These might not be exact numbers, but they're pretty close. I think only 20% of startups actually make it. I think it's actually a lower number than that. And it's something like 5% of startups make it to $1 million in revenue. Roughly the same number become profitable. And so if you think about those numbers, almost every business is a failing business. And so just to get to profitability, you don't need to be making $1 million. You don't need to be one of the 5% of people that have $1 million business. It's unnecessary. Are you making enough money to put a roof over your head, feed yourself and your family, and live a healthy lifestyle? That is what I think is a successful entrepreneur. People call them lifestyle businesses or lifestyle entrepreneurs. I think that is kind of a dig at some point a little bit, where it's like, oh, you're just a lifestyle business. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't make someone feel bad about the fact that they have a business that pays more than what they spend. So that's number one is you don't need to go to Y Combinator. You don't need a bunch of investors. You don't need to go big or go home. You can just make money and be successful at making money. If you live somewhere in middle America or you're a digital nomad and you can make $40,000 a year, and that allows you to do everything that you want to do on whenever you want to do it, that is a successful entrepreneur. If you live somewhere more expensive, you're going to need to make more. So these are just things you got to keep in mind. So what I kind of mean with distribution marketing is, and why I brought up Facebook and Amazon and things like that. There's also a book I want you to read called Small Giants. Like Cliff Bar is one of them. It's got like a little goldfish on it, but it's basically about businesses that were small and stayed small and just were successful businesses. It's a book I read probably 15 years ago, and it is a phenomenal book, 10, 12 years ago maybe. But it talks about this. So anyway, you're not going to just light the world on fire as soon as you launch. It's going to take marketing and distribution, and no one thinks about that. They think if they have a successful product, it's just going to come naturally, and that's just not the case. You will catch breaks. and you need to take advantage of them when they appear. So success is partly luck and preparedness. So you've been working, you have everything, all your ducks in a row, your I's dotted and T's crossed, and then an opportunity strikes and you're prepared to take the opportunity. That's luck, but that's also preparedness for success. If you weren't prepared, then you wouldn't be able to take that opportunity. Okay, so let's go through our 8 entrepreneurs. Will Chang, Parting Pro. That they started with just a directory of funeral homes by scraping data across the board. If you go to parting.com, parting.com, that is still what they started with. They got lucky because there was something going on at the time, and they had they got on the news, on the national news, because funeral homes were under scrutiny. I think, if I remember correctly, go back to the episode. You can listen to all these episodes where you're going to get it from the horse's mouth. But there was something going on with funeral homes, and it was an issue that they were just kind of like gatekeeping prices and things like that, and people were paying more than I thought. And so this parting.com website that the Parting Pro team released got them just tons and tons and tons of exposure. And so the funeral homes that identified with what they were trying to do and said, this is a good idea, those are their initial customers. And so that's how they were able to get started, is by getting lucky in the fact that they just got national news because of this issue. So it was a timing thing. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have been successful otherwise, but it helps, right? Jonathan Newer of Captain Experiences. I think it's SEO. They did a lot of work just with programmatic SEO, and I talk a lot about that in the episode and what programmatic SEO is, where it's basically where you have a template, kind of a Mad Libs template of, in the state of blank, you will find these type of fish to fish for, list of fish. The blank season is the best time to fish. And then you have a huge spreadsheet where you collect all this information. So it's still a lot of work. But then you just merge the spreadsheet and the template together, and then you have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of pages. We did the same thing at Better Legal, where we spent months putting together kind of a master spreadsheet for how to start an LLC in every state. And then I wrote a very long template, and then we just merged the template, and then we had 50 really high quality pages immediately. Will Chernlin of Goat Consulting. This was a community. So it was him being part of an existing community. There were forums online. He was selling stuff himself. If you don't remember, he was selling like vapes and things through Amazon. He was just on these message boards talking about all this stuff, learning about it. You know, you see the same username answering your questions all the time. They start getting some authority in the community. And then all of a sudden he decided to start his own community that was a paid community, where instead of him answering all these questions for free, he basically said, come to my community and I'll answer all these questions for you. That selling that community got him a chunk of cash, which then allowed him to go solo as a kind of higher end retainer type business. And because he had all of this credibility from just providing this information for free for just a really long time, that's how we got that business. People were coming and saying, hey, I need help. We want to hire you full time. And he said, I'm not going to do it full time, but I will work for you for this monthly fee. And if you listen to the episode, he had 3 initial customers, and each customer wanted something different, and they offered something unique for each one of those customers. And it wasn't until after they started to sell more that they kind of came to what they were actually going to offer as their standard offering. Paul Jackson, I don't remember, with Animal House Fitness and the monkey feet, the bar or the dumbbell on the snowboard binding. So you clamp the dumbbell to the snowboard binding, and then you can do leg presses and uh, basically anything you can do with a dumbbell with your arm, with your leg. That's what they're selling at Animal House Fitness, and it's called Monkey Feet. That is the product. I don't remember what his distribution was, but I do know that they distribute very heavily through fitness influencers on social. And if you can just imagine, you're scrolling through, you follow a certain fitness person that you really like, and then they kind of show you how to use this product. You're like, that's what I've been looking for. I needed something for my hamstrings. I needed this. And then that's how the sales work. And so all of a sudden, right off the bat, we have national news distribution, SEO distribution, public forums distribution, and then social media distribution. None of them are the same. You have to find out what works for you. And this is kind of a shotgun approach. So you gotta do a lot of things at once when you get started. And then you find out the things that work. Maybe one or two things really work out well. For me, for Better Legal, it was Google Ads. Google Ads outperformed everything else, and it was kind of an easy lever. Just that more money goes in, more money comes out. So you have to figure out what that thing is for you. Now you can expand once you hit a certain market size. Once you've kind of gotten all the juice that you can squeeze out of a certain network, and it's not, if you put one more dollar in, you get $2 out, an extra dollar in, extra $2 out. At some point, that levels off. So once you kind of hit that where you're getting diminishing returns, that's when it's time to start exploring new markets, because you've really tapped out that market. And we understand that with Google Ads. We know exactly how many thousands of dollars we spend a day before it just doesn't make sense anymore to put more money into it because we're not getting as much out. Max Minsker of Bookmate, he was doing Facebook ads for, and still everybody's been unique. Every single person that I have mentioned so far, this is the fifth person, sixth, including me, every single one of those distribution techniques has been unique. Max Minsker of Bookmate was doing bookkeeping through Facebook ads, and then he pivoted to taxes. Ellen Cassidy was tutoring, and then she wrote a book. That book was selling on Amazon very well, and then that led to her current business of kind of scalable tutoring. I haven't mentioned one that has been repeated yet. This is every single one has been a unique distribution method or marketing method. Nisha Sanghavi, she was kind of one of the ones that was just immediately successful right off the bat. But I also think because there was a market that was just yearning for what she had. She, a normal college campus has a co-op, or at least mine did. It has a co-op, and you just go in to buy the shirt to wear to the football game, basketball game, baseball game. And you either go to the co-op or you go to Academy, and that's kind of where you go, unless you find something specific online that's unique. And so there weren't a lot of things for girls. And so when she launched in West Virginia University, she was just another brand. She was just a brand in the co-op. And she just went in and said, this is a brand for girls. They said, cool, immediately successful. And then she just repeated that through every university. Now, as I said, once you kind of cap, or once you've kind of saturated a market, you need to kind of figure out what's the next step. Now she's doing the resort towns. She is selling the sweatshirts for like a cruise ship town. You go into, Bar Harbor, Maine, you go into one of the t-shirt shops to buy a t-shirt to prove that you were at Bar Harbor, Maine. Chickadee is the brand. Quinn Rudolph of Arai Menswear was, he was Facebook ads. So now we finally have two Facebook ads. So he was doing drop shipping through Modern Undies, and then evolved into Arai Menswear. But he knew his market, and he did Facebook ads. So with every single one of these entrepreneurs, almost all of them are unique business models or distribution models rather. So you can't just say, you know, Blueprint, Google Ads, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Amazon. You just can't do all of them. Which ones make the most sense? Put a certain amount of effort into each one. Which one is getting you the most promise? And then double down on that one. And then, maybe try 10 at once and then find the 3 that are showing promise and then really focus on those 3. And once you saturate that market, then you can kind of move on. So I'll stop there for today. If you have any requests, you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/CSAKON. If you are listening to this not on YouTube, I am doing YouTube videos. They're kind of an experimentation of no code and AI. So I'm posting these looking backward videos on the Looking Backward podcast every Wednesday. But I'm also trying to do a cool kind of show something that I am working on or experimenting with every Friday. And that is only on YouTube because it's visual. So give that a check. You can Google my name, Chad Sakonchik, ChadSakonchick. I know it's a doozy. But anyway, reach out to me on Twitter or YouTube and let me know kind of, what you have questions on. If you want follow-up kind of content on this specifically, or if you have questions about no code and AI, I can do that as well.